No, we have a session today on the COVID-19 pandemic and the effects of school results, and we'll have two presentations in the sessions. We will have about 20 minutes for each of the presenters, followed by up to 10 minutes for questions from you online and in presence. And we'll start first with a presentation from Darren Hilliard of the University of Bath, which will also introduce himself briefly.
So thank you. Yeah, so I've just finished my Master's in Quantitative Social Science Research at the University of Bath. And yes, this work is a working paper with some of my colleagues there. And yeah, any input and opinions would be greatly appreciated. So I'm just going to share the presentation now. Well, thank you for your patience. So the title of this paper is, as Magda said, Parental Confidence in Technology Use and Engagement with Homeschooling in Chile during COVID-19 and Unexpected Negative Relationship. Now, the whole point of this study is to kind of examine what is the relationship between parental technology confidence and parental engagement in homeschooling. And, you know, we tested a bunch of moderators and mediators. And yeah, so first I'll go into the background of the study and why we're doing this. So why should we care about parental engagement? So it seems to be quite a robust finding that parental engagement matters for children's attainment. So, you know, there's a meta-synthesis of 9 meta-analysis that finds, you know, no matter how you define parental involvement or child's achievement, you find a positive relationship between the two. So this seems to be, you know, very crucial parts of how children perform better in school. So, and we have to define the difference between quantity versus quality of parental engagement. So sometimes I actually find if a parent engages a lot, but the child perceives it as intrusive, it's actually not of help. Whereas if they perceive it as positive, it has a positive effect. So, so I think this is a very important distinction, which I'll talk about a bit later as well in context with the results that we find. So, you know, I think it's quite obvious, especially in the COVID-19 pandemic, how important technology is. That's all right. How important technology is for kids learning, especially in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic. And, you know, it's become one of the main mediums of learning. So, you know, there've been lots of initiatives worldwide to improve children's access. I know in the UK there's been initiatives to give people from lower socioeconomic backgrounds access to technology during COVID-19. But there is mixed evidence on the impact of these projects, which is quite interesting. And the gap we're trying to fill is there's not really much data on this, how well that includes data on both parental engagement and parental ability to use technology. So I quite like this. So that probably wondering what you're looking at here. So this is I used the site called connectedpapers.com, and what it does is you put a paper in, and then it shows you all the papers it's cited and all the papers that they've cited and so on. And that one you see in the middle, Osorio, Science 2021, is another paper that's been written based on the data we've collected for this study. And what you can see in the top right is all the papers on parental engagement, and on the bottom left is all the papers on technology acceptance. And I guess you can see this research as a bridge between the two literatures. So going on to our study. So the data was collected during 2020. Basically, it was led by the University of Bath and a bunch of international partners. Eventually, there was 23 countries with 4,658 participants, parents and caregivers. But this paper that focuses on Italy with just 517 participants. And the data collected was, there's a bunch of data, but of course the main things are parental engagement and technology confidence. So it was an online survey, and the parents and caregivers were of children between the ages 6 and 16, and yeah, and it also included some socioeconomic variables amongst a bunch of others. Yeah, so the two main variables were latent variables constructed in different ways. So the independent variable is the confidence in technology use, and the dependent variable is the engagement in homeschooling. They're both latent variables, mean 0, standard deviation 1. So the way we constructed the parental engagement one was based on these 5 questions. I won't bore you by reading each one of these. And then the parental confidence in technology use was a second order construct. So what I mean by that is we had a few questions on tools. So for example, one of the questions on tools is do you check school emails, blog, websites, follow the activities they suggest to children? Social is, do you follow on social media what other parents are doing and use it as inspiration? And capacity, an example of the question here is, I feel confident troubleshooting my child's computer. So there's a few questions for each of these. And what we did was we took a sum of each and then used them as to create a latent variable using complementary factor analysis. So what we did was we checked a bunch of potential mediating, moderating variables, and we also use these also as controls in the regression that we used, and essentially we found nothing in terms of mediators and moderators. We used structural equation models and we didn't find anything there. So what I'm going to present is the results of our OLS ordinary least squares regressions. So yeah, this is the main result. So what you're seeing here is the relationship between parental engagement and technology confidence. The first column is without controls. The second one has socioeconomic controls. The third one has socioeconomic controls and controls like child gender, parent gender. And it seems to be quite a robust result in that we always find a negatives quite highly significant relationship regardless of the specification. And then when you break, what I did was I broke parental engagement down into its component parts and regressed it on each of these questions and found the same thing, a negative significant result for every component, but to varying degrees. So yeah, it seems there is a strong, quite consistent negative relationship here, which is interesting. I think it wasn't what we expected initially. Now, I ran another one where instead I used the hours that someone engages with their child in homeschooling, but actually found no significant results. So this kind of comes back to the distinction between quality and quantity of parental engagement. So there seems to be something here about how the nature of engagement and the amount of engagement have different relationships with confidence in technology. But what we find here is that as technology confidence increases, parental engagement decreases, which is surprising, but we came up with a few ideas about why that may be. Of course, these are completely hypothetical and we can't test them using the data we have, and I think, but I'll discuss them anyway. So one idea is that as a parent has more confidence in technology, they're probably obviously more able with technology, and therefore they have more trust in technology for a child's learning. So they feel that they don't have to have as much input into the child's learning because they trust in the process of learning remotely with their child learning from school. And they don't feel the need perhaps to engage in the way they would have if they didn't trust technology. Yet another theory is perhaps as a parent is better at technology, the child is probably better at technology. So the child actually requires
a different type of engagement or less engage. I wouldn't say less engagement because, you know, it's not less hours, it's the nature of engagement that changes. And I think at this point it's worth going back here to see the questions that actually make up the parental engagement scale. And if you look at, for example, I found the strongest relationship was the third one when I broke them down individually. So I list and prepare the activities myself before developing them with my children. So you can imagine if you trust technology and you trust that your child can learn, or your child is better able to learn, you perhaps don't actually need to do these things. You perhaps don't feel the need to list and prepare these activities. And yeah, so there seems to be an interesting relationship where I think the main takeaway is, you know, how the nature of parental engagement probably changes as technology confidence and technology ability of the parent changes. So moving on, I think this study, at the end of the day, it's just a correlation with a few controls, and it seems to be quite a robust relationship, but I'm very hesitant to make any big conclusions or causal arguments. I think there's an interesting relationship that deserves more analysis, but I think we should really see this as a first step. Also, we could maybe have a look at this in the context of the study I mentioned earlier, saying that, you know, the evidence of giving technology to kids is mixed in terms of its ability to improve performance at school. And maybe this might offer insight into it. Of course, this again is very hypothetical, but it could be that as you give the technology then to kids, then parents feel the need to engage less, or more specifically in a different way, which then offsets the impact of the kid having the technology. But again, this is difficult to say given the nature of this study. So some limitations of this study. Yeah, so like I mentioned, there's no relationship with the number of hours studied. It's kind of a confusing thing to find no relationship here, but a relationship with the nature of the engagement. But it also could be an indication that the results aren't actually robust. So I think that's something that should be kept in mind. And it could also just be a nature of the way that we measured engagement. It could be just a function of that, the results that we find. Again, findings can't be interpreted as causal. Also, we don't actually study child's attainment. So we only study engagement. And I know I said engagement is related to child performance, but that the increase in perhaps ability of a child to use technology might offset the change in the quality or nature of engagement that a parent has. Also, it was an online survey using advertising on social media. So, you know, this sample is not representative at all. And finally, this is during COVID-19. Hopefully, we will not have too many more situations similar to this. So do these findings apply in normal times? Is a question that we, again, can't answer with this data. But yeah, so just before I move on, I think for me, what to take from this is there's an interesting relationship there. I think why does the nature of parental engagement change as technology confidence increases? I think it's as I said, a first step, and that's what I think should be taken away, is that I think there's something interesting here, and the relationship seems to be robust no matter how I run the regressions. So, but any strong conclusions, I think I would be hesitant to make from this. So future research that I think would be interesting is how do the findings link to child's attainment? If we measured parental engagement in a different way, quality of parental engagement, how would that affect things? And then some causal analysis. I know it's quite difficult, but but if possible, you know, randomized controls trials, diff and diffs, any way to kind of, even like if we had panel data and could do fixed effects regression, like that would be a step forward compared to what's done here. And then a path analysis of maybe the 2 proposed paths that I proposed, that may be an interesting avenue to go down. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If anyone has any questions here or online, please go ahead.
Any questions? Where she? Yeah, I think you can stay there. Okay, thank you.
So thank you for the presentation. And I have a clarification question, which has to do with the use of hours. So you mentioned that you didn't find any correlation between hours spent on children, helping children with their homework, and no, you didn't find any correlation between parental engagement and the hours.
No, sorry, I didn't find any relationship between technology confidence and parental engagement measured in quantity by hours. What I found was a negative relationship between the nature of parental engagement as measured by those things. But when I said there was no relationship, that's between technology confidence and number of hours engaged in homeschooling.
Right. So, but in your main regression, did you control for hours?
I didn't actually. That's a interesting one.
So, because the point being that, I mean, my first idea was that, okay, if I have parents that are very busy using social media, your measure of parental engagement will increase, right?
Yeah.
And especially then at the end, you mentioned that the survey was a web survey and it was communicated through some type of social media. So most likely you have parents who are very active on social media. So my idea is that, okay, if I am a parent and I'm very busy on tweets or Facebook for myself, my increase, I mean, the level of parental confident use of this media is higher. This means that I have less time to spend with my children. And so there is something about I'm an economist, so there is something like a time constraint here that seems to me that is lacking in your analysis. That's why I was thinking about the hours and go a bit deeper in studying the relationship between hours and in particular controlling for hours.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think maybe if we split, I don't know if I can share this again. Maybe if we split, I would imagine the time constraint would come mostly from the social component. So I'd be interested. Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe if I remove the social component, we'd find different results, but also controlling for hours.
May I? In terms of the main regression, you said you checked the social economic status.
Yes.
And I wonder, how did you measure that?
Yeah, so there was,
if you have level of education, maybe that's also.
Yeah, so there was 3 variables that we had. There was income, years of education, and job type that was divided into 4 levels. So they were the socioeconomic controls that we used.
Thank you very much. We have 2 more questions. One, I think, from the online, and then one from the on-site. So maybe the person that has a question online can unmute themselves. Thank you. Okay, maybe we'll wait a little bit. So we will start with the question that we have on site to give the opportunity to our online participants to intervene later.
Thank you for the presentation. Just to add on something that Maria Laura just said, probably the parents who are most confident with the technology might also be the ones that have been overloaded by the pandemic. All of us have been working even much more than we used to be. We used to work a lot, but we worked even more, especially in the beginning of the pandemic. So this might be another reason for these parents to be to have less time to spend with their children and to help their children with.
Yeah, for sure. We can't unfortunately test that, but yeah, I think that's
it could be another
really
channel. Although I also
interesting,
believe the channels that I think the channels your own explanation of why you could find this strange results. I think it works, but maybe you could also elaborate a bit on this possibility.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that makes a lot of sense. If they're better able with technology, then they're probably working more during COVID-19. So absolutely. And therefore, like you're talking about the time constraints, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Exactly. And there's one more question, just a curiosity. You said this is part of a larger project that involves other countries. I wonder whether you find the same results in Italy or if you find different results in other countries, because this could also.
Yes. So yeah, they're broadly in line. The only difference is for the fifth component of the parental engagement scale. For the whole sample, we don't find a relationship, but apart from that, they're broadly in line.
So it's not a result that it's only holding in Italy.
No.
Can we try again the question that was asked online? Please unmute yourself and go ahead. Andres, can you unmute yourself? Looks like we could have an issue. In the meantime, I see there's a lot of interest, and I know I happen to know a little bit about this initiative. And it was led by Andres Sandoval and his team at BAT. And this data set is publicly available. So, and it can be used. Italy is part of it. So I wanted to invite you, Darren, to tell us a little bit more about the countries participating in this survey. And also, if you have any impression about the Italian sample, where are they coming from? What are we talking in terms of socioeconomic status and so on?
Okay. Honestly, I can't remember all the countries that are in the sample. I know China, UK, Turkey. There were some samples that we excluded because there's just very few participants that ended up answering. I think there's 23 questions in total. Yeah, I don't actually have data to hand on the socioeconomic status of the respondent. So yeah, sorry, I can't answer that question too well. But yeah, the data is available online, and I have to caution that you have to be careful when you look at the code book, because some of the questions are, as you go, you have to check that the direction. Like sometimes the question as it goes up means more engagement, or as it goes down it means more. So you have to be careful when using the code book and the data.
Okay, thank you very much. For those interested, we can always provide the link to the report and the data itself. Are there any questions? Maybe we have time for one. Okay, online again.
Hi, can you hear me?
Andres?
Sorry, can't hear you, Andres.
I'm
Maybe
sorry.
if you write it in the chat, we can have a look.
Yeah, okay.
You're on mute as well.
Mine? Activate your mic. On Zoom.
Hi, no, you cannot hear me, right?
He's not anymore though.
No.
If you write the question in the chat, Andres, maybe
I will, yeah,
you can
no
answer
worry.
it there.
Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, well, we apologize for these technical issues.
I think maybe there might be a problem with the audio in this room, hearing people talking on the thing, but I think Andres, you're typing, right? The question? Yeah, okay, sorry. Okay, so it's just, so someone's left a comment saying that the data set also includes open questions and answers. So there's also qualitative data that's attached to this.